3, 2, 1. Well, good morning, and how are you wonderful, fine folks doing this morning? Today is it's Monday, April 20th of 2015. Just wanted to start that off real quick to give a date. I'm also going to start my timer on my stopwatch. By the way, folks, I have a new tattoo that I'm wanting to show you. John 3:18. 3:18. John 3:18. As I say always in a lot of my videos, welcome to the new revolution. John chapter 3 verse 18. Join the revolution. So I just wanted to kind of show off the new tattoo. First time I'm showing it off in an actual video. Okay, so the title of this video is going to be Shocking News, Satan Was Not an Angel, and in parentheses it's going to be a closer look into Isaiah chapter 14, because it's a spin-off from my other videos. I have already made and uploaded 4 videos titled Shocking News, Satan Was Not an Angel, the origin of Satan. I got 4 videos on that. So I ask all of my audience, please go to watch those 4 videos first before watching this. You know, I mean, you can watch this one without having watched those and you'll still get a lot out of it. But the foundation begins with those first 4 videos. The reason I am making another set of videos, and I'm hoping it can only be 1 video, but honestly, as much information as I got to cover, it'll probably be 2. I would like to get it done in 1, but I don't think I'll be able to get it done in 1 video in 40 minutes. Anyway, the reason why I am even taking this extra step and going more into detail in Isaiah chapter 14 is because, honestly, because some people have been confused. I really thought that I covered everything very well in my first 4 videos. And I also, you know, in my actual church group on Google Plus, I shared Steve Gregg's video on the origin of Satan, which is an hour and 28 minutes long. So I mean, between him and he was very plain, very easy to understand. I mean, you really, if you watch his video, you get it. And we sat down, my wife and I sat down a few weeks ago. We watched all 4 of mine back to back one morning. And my wife, you know, not that she's not a slow learner, but there are things that sometimes she just has a hard time understanding, and sometimes she has to read over it or go over it, you know, several times before really grasping it. And we watched all 4 of them all the way through one time, and she grasped it. She goes, yeah, you made it very plain, very easy to understand. But there was still a lot of confusion with some people, okay? So what I'm doing here, this is, and I know it's really hard to see on the, on my little tablet here, but bear with me. This is my church group, Rock Force Church, in Google Plus. Google Plus. That's where my church group currently is now. I will scroll down here and I will show you guys something just so that you can see it and believe it. Okay, right there that is Steve Gregg's video on the origin of Satan. In my first 4 videos, I showed you his website where you could listen to the MP3 file of the Audible lecture. This is the actual video on YouTube. It's still more or less a MP3. It's just Audible. You're not going to see him standing around. You know, all you're going to see is that little picture right there and him talking. But it is on YouTube. That is Steve Gregg, Origin of Satan Spiritual Warfare Series. Okay? Just so that you know. Okay, now, let me get a little bit of background information on this. Okay, real quickly, background information on how I came to the knowledge of all of this. It was in 2008. Okay, I'm marking that as a date or a year. 2008. God himself, you know, opened me up and showed me some things in his word that, you know, previously I had learned in church growing up, you know, that Isaiah 14 and Ezekiel 28 were all passages talking about, you know, Satan originally being an angel and then he fell and so on and so forth. Well, back in 2008, long before I even heard of Steve Gregg, never even knew the man or seen his lectures or heard whatever, never had no knowledge of Steve Gregg. This was 2008. God showed me the modern application of those passages in Isaiah 14 and Ezekiel 28. He showed me the modern application of who and what religious establishment that those scriptures apply to today. Okay? Now, I make the statement, and you can read this, you can read all about this right here, where I've actually posted Steve Gregg's video. You can read my statement about this to get more, you know, to actually read it. It's in the Rock Force Church group on Google+. So, this was 2008. Now, what I'm trying to say is, during the time of Isaiah the prophet and Ezekiel the prophet, I honestly do not believe that they saw any vision of a future application of what they were writing. I honestly believe that God showed them a vision of, you know, the king of Babylon and the king of Tyrus. And when they wrote what they wrote in Isaiah 14 and Ezekiel 28, they were only seeing that application of the time that they were living in. Okay? They saw the king of Babylon and they saw the king of Tyrus. I honestly don't believe that they saw any future application to this. However, that being said, the fact remains, whether they intentionally had it that way or not, which I don't believe that they did, the fact remains that somehow there is a modern application to those passages. Unintentional, but still yet very, I mean, honestly, I'm not really going to get into that actual modern application because that'll be another video or even a couple videos of a series down the road. But honestly, you know, it fits. The modern application that God showed me of who it applies to and what religious establishment it applies to, it fits. It fits like a glove. It's like the Cinderella story. You know, hey, Cinderella, if that shoe fits, wear it. It fits. Like I said, I don't believe that it was intentional because I don't think that neither Isaiah nor Ezekiel saw that, but it just happens to fit. Okay. Another one of the postings I posted here in my group is this. And I have printed it off to read on paper because it's hard for me to try to read it from the computer, especially trying to do it, you know, and show you on the camera while I'm recording. So let me start with that. Here's what I wrote. Is it too hard for us to let go of man-made traditions? Is it so hard to think that maybe, just maybe, there is a possible chance, that what we were taught growing up in church most of our lives could be wrong? Some might say that we need to believe that Isaiah 14 and Ezekiel 28 are lessons for mankind about some angel being lifted up in pride and falling to become Satan. In other words, that these passages can only be appointed to Satan. But Satan is not the issue or the lesson. It's pride. And what happens as a result of that pride. This is me personally, I don't need to think that these passages apply to Satan to receive God's lesson on the issue of pride. I am perfectly fine believing that Nebuchadnezzar and Babylon in Isaiah 14 and the king of Tyrus and its city in Ezekiel 28, Capernaum in Matthew 11:23 that Jesus quoted in Matthew, the Assyrian in Ezekiel chapter 31, and the Edomites in Obadiah verse 4 were all lifted up in pride. And God overthrew them as a result. You see, they had all lifted themselves up so much in pride that they made or said of themselves, using figurative language, I will exalt myself and my city or kingdom to heaven. They all said, I will exalt myself above the stars and the throne of God. And as a result, God overthrew all of them and brought them down to the ground and laid waste. Now, like I said, I covered all these scriptures and all these particular verses, whatever, very clearly in the first 4 videos. So I'm not going to rehash and go over what I've already gone over. I've got a lot of other information, and some of it is a little bit the same, some of it's not, but what is the same is what I'm going to bring new light to. So let's move on. Because the issue was never about some angel or some devil. The issue and the lesson for mankind was always about pride and how the proud will fall. It honestly does not matter who it applies to, as long as what we can see. It does not matter who it applies to, as long as we can see what God's lesson for mankind is about the issue of pride. I am being accused of being prideful. I'll explain that here in a minute. Because supposedly I am trying to say that I'm right, and everyone who does not agree with me are wrong. But I never made such claims. I simply made a video series about Satan's origin to teach mankind what the Bible really has to say on the subject, and I'm not a lone ranger here because Steve Gregg also sees it. And Steve Gregg mentioned in his lecture that within his circle of colleagues, he found many others who have come to believe the same way. I'm going to finish reading this. I'm going to explain who was accusing me of being prideful here in a few minutes. But I will say this now. I do not hold a grudge against that person. Okay, I love that person as a person. It is possible that because he has re-added me to his circles on Google Plus, very possible that I will be re-adding him to my circles as well on my Google Plus account. here in the very near future. Okay. So who are the ones in pride here? Okay. Is it not prideful to hang on to the traditions of mankind like Jesus warned us about in the Gospels? You know, I mean, I didn't actually put it in here in that particular scene, but when Jesus was being accused of not washing his hands, him and his disciples were being accused of not washing their hands before they ate. I don't remember exactly. It might be in more than one gospel even. You'll find it in the Gospels. Jesus tells them that, you know, you Pharisees and Sadducees and you Jews, you hang on to these man-made traditions that really don't, they have no bearing. They don't matter. Yet you cling to these man-made traditions and you make the Word of God of none effect. So find that in the Gospels. That is what I was talking about. So let me say my statement again. Is it not prideful to hang on to the traditions of mankind like Jesus warned us about in the Gospels? In other words, the traditions of saying that Satan was once an angel and then fell. That is a man-made tradition. And so what I'm asking is it not prideful to hang on to that tradition and make the Word of God of none effect? Is it not prideful to accept the idea that one might be wrong? Is it not prideful to cleave to our little pet scriptures or passages and not look at the bigger picture and see what else the Bible has to say on some issues and subjects? In all 4 of my previous videos on this subject, I taught, and in my other videos and other completely different subjects, the Religion versus Relationship series, I keep talking about the bigger picture. We need to see the bigger picture. Do not just sit there and focus on one scripture or even one little passage of scripture and miss the bigger picture, because you're going to miss everything that God is trying to tell you. Is our faith so little that when faced with the thought or idea that perhaps what has been taught to us growing up in church could be wrong, that we draw a conclusion that the whole Bible is wrong and we lose faith? Let me keep going. I'm just asking here. I admit the fact that since 2003, God has opened my eyes to many biblical teachings that I thought that I was, I lost my place, that I was taught to believe are proven wrong. And it shook my faith. But I did not lose all faith and belief. No. Instead, I opened my mind and let God teach me and rebuild my core beliefs on a more firm foundation. And now that is what I'm trying to teach others, not to lose all faith. But because we have been taught wrong, it does not make the Bible a lie. It only makes mankind liars. But my goal is not to leave us broken, rather to rebuild us with solid biblical teaching. So let me paraphrase, just in case you can read it. Go to the Rock Forest Church group in Google Plus and read it. Okay, it's there. It's posted. I was just reading it because I printed it out. But what I'm saying is this. There are a lot of things that we were taught in church growing up that, you know, if we find out that they were actually a lie, is it going to shake your foundation? Is it going to shake your faith so much that you're just going to say, oh, well, okay, that was a lie, so the Bible must be lies? and therefore I'm just going to quit going to church, quit believing in God because the Bible's a lie. No. That should not be what happens to people. Let's do this again. Okay, so what we were taught is lies. Does that make the Bible a lie? No. The Bible, in its purity, without man interfering and trying to interpret it wrongly, in its purity, it is the absolute truth. It is what man has thought it to be and taught it to be that is wrong. So the Bible is not lies, but what was taught us was lies. So instead of losing our faith and saying, oh, well, the Bible was wrong, the Bible's lies. No. Look at it again. Let God open your eyes and open your mind. Let God infiltrate you with the truth of His Word and rebuild your faith on a more firm, solid foundation. So that instead of losing faith, you'll actually gain more faith because you'll have a more firm foundation and knowledge of what God's Word really is saying. Okay, I mentioned earlier that back in 2008, God showed me the modern application of all this stuff. Okay, it was not until either 2009 or 2010, I forget exactly which year, because it might have been late 2009, early, I don't know. It was fall, winter. My good friend, Paul Eden, introduced me to Steve Gregg and introduced me to Steve Gregg's lectures. And he said, you got to listen to this. You've got to listen to this. So we sat down in my apartment at that time. I was living in an apartment. And he said, we were listening to it, and I was ecstatic. I was like, oh my God. This is exactly what God showed me. God showed me a modern application of this to prove to me that these passages in Isaiah 14 and Ezekiel 28 were not talking about Satan never having been an angel and then fell. Steve Gregg got it. I was ecstatic. I saw this before I even knew of Steve Gregg. And then when I heard Steve Gregg, I heard his lecture, I was like, wow, God is opening the eyes of a lot more people than just me. So I'm not a Lone Ranger here. I'm not going around and saying, I'm right and you're wrong, or everybody who does not agree with me is wrong. That is not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that the Bible, the purity of the Bible, take mankind out of the equation. The purity of the Bible is the absolute truth. And if we as mankind misinterpret it and make it to be something that it's not, then the Bible's not lies. It's mankind that is lies. So I am not calling anybody else particularly liars because they don't agree with me. What I am saying is that the Bible is truth, and if what you believe or think to be true does not align with the Bible, then according to the Bible, then you're in error. Then you are the liar. Not according to me. I'm not saying you're the liar because James Lawson said it. What I'm saying is the Bible is true, and if you don't believe the way the Bible reads, then you are the liar, based on the Bible. So go to the Rock Forest Church Group and see all this. Go to the Rock Forest Church Group and even let me get it down here, and even look at Steve Gregg's lecture on this. It's awesome. Okay. So, like I said, I learned all this way before I even heard of Steve Gregg. And I had the idea of doing this before I heard of Steve Gregg. I just never put it down on paper until recently. I mean, this has been a few years after I, heard Steve Gregg's lectures that I just recently did it. Okay, so now I will bring to light, I will mention the one person that has been a problem to me over these videos. And again, I'm going to say this. I'm going to mention his name. I'm even going to show you his profile on Google+. Okay, here it is. His name is Stu Call. Okay? Now, I got to say this. I don't have anything against Stu Call. I do not hold a grudge against Stu Call. I am not calling Stu Call a liar. He has disagreed with me. We've had some drama in the past in my church group, and he has posted some things about me in the past on his page. That's okay. Forgiveness is something that, I seek all the time. Not only for myself, but for other people. So I can forgive Stu Call of some of the things that some of the drama that he put me through. And like I said, I might even re-add him into my circles on Google Plus here in the near future. So he's not a bad guy. I'm not trying to say that. He's a very good guy. He's a Christian. Okay. But the only reason why I'm bringing him up is because because of what he has done, I have to make this video and maybe another video. I'm going deeper into Isaiah 14 because of all the drama that he has caused. So it's a positive outcome from a negative thing. Okay, you can't see him on the top, but it is. Here it is. I mean, it's very hard to see probably on the screen while I'm videoing it, but there it is. Stu Call. Go to his profile page. Okay. Here is, at this time, let's see, which one do I want to look at? Okay. Here is the first one that I noticed that he posted. He posted this on his page, and he also posted it in some of his Google Plus groups. Real quickly, exegetical original languages. Okay, what I have done, I'm not going to pretend to try to read it off the computer screen or off the tablet screen. It just would be impossible for me to do that. What I did, instead of that, I'm going to bring these up now, but I'm not going to focus on these now. I copy-pasted this and I printed this out. That is what Stu Call posted, so you can go to his profile and see that I didn't just get this out of nowhere. That's what he posted. Exegetical original languages. We will look at this more later, not right now. I've also got to keep in mind, I got 10 minutes left on this video. So yeah, it's going to be more than one video. It's going to be two. I hope I can get it done in 2 videos. So, because of all of this, there is something else that I did need to bring the computer back up. Because of all of this, I've had to dig deeper into Isaiah chapter 14 to bring about more light, more details of that chapter. Okay? One of the things that he posted about was talking about the original Hebrew word for Lucifer that you see in Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 12. Okay? So what I did was this. I started my search, and I'll show you exactly what I started my search with. I just went to Google. Hopefully you can see it. See right there. I started my search and I simply typed in Google lookup the words son of morning. And obviously it brings up a whole, every time you do a Google search, it'll bring up a whole bunch of different things. So what I did was I looked at a bunch of them, didn't really like what I saw in a lot of them except for this. You'll notice right there it says Lucifer, Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. So I clicked on that. I clicked on it and you'll see that it says Lucifer, if you can see that, and it is Wikipedia. I'm giving you guys all these sources so that you guys can, of yourselves, don't just take my word for it. Don't never take any pastor's or any person's word for it. Go and look all this stuff up for yourselves. I'm giving you every resource in this video that I can provide you for you to go and look all this stuff up for yourselves. Okay? So, that is Wikipedia and it is Lucifer. What I have done is I have printed it off. Once again, I find it kind of hard to try to follow this. But I will say this. Let me say this real quickly. Most of you should be familiar with Wikipedia. Some of you may not be familiar with Wikipedia. So, what I'm going to do is whenever you look anything up on Wikipedia, Wikipedia has letters that are, words that are in blue. It also has numbers. These are all the resources, and at the very bottom of the screen, for anything that you look up in Wikipedia, it will list every single one of the references that Wikipedia used to make these articles. So there again, honestly, to be honest with you, I've spent the last 5 days. That's how many days of work that I've put into this. Countless hours and days, 5 days worth of work. Looking stuff up, reading stuff, reading books, reading articles, figuring out what I wanted to use, what I didn't want to use. That's how much time and effort I have put into this to make these videos. So I hope that you appreciate the fact that I've put that much time and effort into this. So I suggest that when you look up Wikipedia, as you're reading, click on some of these. It'll take you to the links and it'll explain more and more. Okay? All I'm going to do is I have printed it out on paper. I've printed it out on paper, but it's the same thing that you saw, to read it more easily on paper. I got to keep an eye on the time. I'll probably only get through the first page of this before I got to close this video out and start the next video. Okay, so Lucifer is the King James Version rendering of the Hebrew word, and you'll see that they have taken the liberty to give you the exact Hebrew word written in Hebrew when you look up Wikipedia in Isaiah 14:12. This word transliterated Hallel or Halo. Hallel. I'll try to use Hallel as I keep talking about it. Occurs only once in the Hebrew Bible, and according to the King James Version, influence Strong's Concordance means shining one or morning star. The word Lucifer is taken from the Latin Vulgate, which translates Hallel as Lucifer, meaning the morning star. The planet Venus, that's very important because we're going to be looking a lot more details on that as we go. Lots of details on the planet Venus as we go. Or as an adjective, light-bringing. The Septuagint renders Hallel in Greek as Hiosphorus. not that great on pronouncing these, Greek and Latin words. So just bear with me on that. You'll see it when you read it for yourself. A name literally bringer of dawn, for the morning star. Later, and I stress the word later, Christian tradition, notice the word tradition, it's Wikipedia wrote that, I didn't write it. Anyway, Christian tradition came to use the Latin word for morning star, Lucifer, in the lowercase, as a proper name, Lucifer with an uppercase, for the devil, as he was before his fall. As a result, Lucifer has become a byword for Satan, the devil, in the church and in popular culture, as in Dante Alighieri's Inferno, may not have it pronounced right, and John Milton's Paradise Lost. However, and I stress that word however, the Latin word never came to be used almost exclusively as in English in this way, and was applied to others also, including Christ. The image of a morning star fallen from the sky is generally believed among scholars to have a parallel in Canaanite mythology. That is something that we will look at later. I'll explain more details on that later. However, I'm keeping an eye on the time. However, according to both Christian and Jewish exegesis, something like that, in the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, and the king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar II, conqueror of Jerusalem, is condemned in a prophetic vision by the prophet Isaiah, and is called the morning planet Venus. In this chapter, the Hebrew text says, and they give you the actual Hebrew word, if I can get it on the camera, the actual Hebrew word written in Hebrew, and that word is Hillel ben Shahar, shining one, son of morning. Hillel ben Shahar may refer to the morning star, but the text in Isaiah 14 gives no indication that Hillel was a star or a planet. Again, I will cover more information and details will be provided as we move on. I'm getting close to the end of this. Let me see what my next page is. I will try to cover this next page real quickly. As you're scrolling down the list, when you're looking at this on Wikipedia, you'll scroll down the list. The next thing that they have is etymology, Lucifer or morning star. I don't think I'm going to have time to cover this. We will pick up exactly right here in the second video. So I hope you guys are finding this interesting so far. I hope it has been informative so far. We'll see you here in the next video. Thank you and God bless you.